Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's show where you're going to be introduced to my guests, Tucker and Anna Germain, two lives woven together by a same thread, a God who does not let go. Two individuals, both raised in Christian homes, but individually their lives seem to be heading in very different directions until God, in some unique ways, brought them together, and now their lives are heading in the direction towards missions in Japan. I hope you enjoy hearing God's story and how it unfolded in their lives. And again, thank you for joining today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the podcast. And on today's show, we get to sit with Tucker and Anna Germain and hear their story about how God has been working in their lives since they were little, all the way up to where they are today, as well as to where God is leading them into the future. Tucker and Anna, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Well, we were actually both born here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, when I was 6. One day, my mom and brother and I were playing a board game together, and it was a Bible-inspired board game. I wanted to take that step of becoming a Christian. When I was about 9, our pastor was teaching a Sunday school class about how to share the gospel with your peers. And I was in public school, so that really was intriguing to me of how to start those conversations and how to talk about Christ with them, and started really using what I was taught in the class at school. And I was really shocked at how natural it was for me to talk to people about my faith, and really just enjoyed it. And it kind of lit a fire in me, and I just wanted to do that more and more and learn more about it. So I just continued sharing the gospel and serving.
9 years old seems pretty young to be having that just excitement to teach and share the gospel, but that's actually really neat.
My childhood, like she said, I grew up in a Christian home. I went to church. A friend of mine once described his own testimony this way, but it's more of a dimmer switch instead of a light switch, like on or off. I don't really have one specific, the heavens opened up moment and I became a Christian. But I think going to church, to be honest, I didn't want to necessarily pay attention as a child. I would just go because I had to and I wanted to go, but I didn't really want to commit to anything. That lasted for, honestly, to my shame, too long, for many years. But I think just being in church, being around, hearing the word preached, hearing other youth who were on fire for God, I think that had a good positive impact on me. But it really wasn't until high school. I had a very influential teacher who he had that aroma of Christ in him. He was a self-described turbo nerd, and that's how I felt like I was too. So he just liked learning about things and engaged in things intellectually and scientifically and historically, and was a very committed Christian, and that just really touched me.
So in high school, I was able to get involved with Christian student groups and really try to share my faith there. And that community really helped me grow too, and just being challenged by my peers to be bold with my faith. In my senior year of high school, I joined a youth group that was really missional and really wanted to do ministry overseas and give high schoolers that opportunity. So the summer between graduating high school and starting Bible college, I was able to go to Haiti on my first mission trip. And it was just a week. But this church was very good. They put us through a lot of training. It was really a spark of something I was very passionate about, and really made me realize, wow, I really want to do this as a career. I don't just want to do this here and there. So I just asked questions and continued to look into that and learn more about life overseas from that point on.
Tucker, was missions even in the mindset in that latter, those younger years to high school, to the transition before you go to college?
Honestly, it really wasn't. I went to a private Christian school, so occasionally we would have some speakers come in who were missionaries for chapels,
Mm.
where they'd give a little presentation. But I always felt like that would be really cool. The adventurous side of me thought that'd be fun, but it was just, oh hey, that was a cool speaker, and then move on with my life. So I studied music and math, just two things I was good at. So still no missions in the picture yet.
First, I was going in as an elementary education major because I love teaching. And then as I got more into it, I had a professor who really encouraged you to do what filled your bucket every day, which I had never heard that before. And I'd always thought you go to college to get a job. That was just my mindset. And not that anything's wrong with that, but that really made me think like, I like teaching, but am I really going to feel like this really fills my bucket? So I was really challenged to kind of think through that. And thinking back on my time in Haiti, I was like, wow, that really filled my bucket. So I decided to switch majors to intercultural studies and teaching English as a second language.
I always kind of thought that the dream was to write music. But in the back of my mind, I always knew that there was something else for me, something more or maybe even different than what I was pursuing. But I never really knew what that was. So college was just 4 more years of trying to figure out what was ahead. I just wanted an earthly relationship, but I think what I was yearning for was a relationship with God. That's going to fill that. Some people say that God-sized hole in your heart. I had some good conversations with professors too about, I have this longing, but it's not being met, and they gently but truthfully pointed me in the right direction of, this is what you're really yearning for, I think is what I'm hearing. So lean into your faith, lean into that. And so I just started opening the Bible every morning and had a little routine. And I think that's really where I was like, okay, now I'm doing the things to back up I say I'm a Christian. And I really felt God's peace in the midst of a time when I think a lot of people were very concerned about what was going on, what was next. I felt a peace about the future. I don't have specific plans or career, but I think God's gonna see me through it. So.
Anna, you were the first to connect with OMF on your first trip overseas to Japan. Just out of curiosity, how did you find out about it?
So at Moody, there's a missions conference every year. So as a student there, you're required to attend that. And then there's a lot of missions agencies and organizations would come and have like a booth set up and you can interact. So at Moody, they said it's kind of like you're dating these organizations
yeah.
and kind of getting a feel for
speed dating.
Yeah, exactly. So I talked to, I want to say at least 10, and I was getting pretty discouraged because there wasn't anything wrong with any of the other ones that I had spoken to, but for some reason, I just really didn't feel it was the fit for me at the time. And then actually, my roommate's sister suggested OMF because she said, you seem to be interested in church planting and Asia, and that's exactly what OMF does. And actually, at the time, this sounds really cheesy, but to me, it was just a very personal sign that God was leading me to OMF. On the table, there was like all these pins and stickers like any organization has. And I loved to like ride my bike. And that year, they had like a bicycle on one of the pins. The OMF staff member at the time prayed for me, and I've always loved like the sunset and sunrise. And as she was praying for me, she prayed. She said, like, I see God helping you walk into like a sunrise because you're walking into his calling on your life. And I was just completely shocked because obviously she didn't know that about me. I didn't really share that with her prior to her praying for me. So to me, those were pretty clear signs that I should at least go through OMF. And then just through talking with them, that's how they recommended Japan. And I just saw no reason of why I shouldn't go to Japan. So I went and also just really appreciated their debrief and the pre-field training as well, and just all the thoughtfulness. And I just felt like they saw it as discipleship. They didn't just see it as we're just sending you on a trip and we'll take care of the logistics. It's like, we really want you to grow through this and we want it to be a part of your faith journey, not just here, go on a mission trip and see you later. Like, there
Yeah.
is every step of the way, there was people to talk to and immense support and prayer. And just a lot of thought and intentionality behind it too. So I was really enjoying that time because I had gone to Japan the summer before COVID happened, actually, and really did not want to come home. But obviously I had to finish school. So went there, did my internship there, and got to live and work with long-term missionaries and learn about church planting in Japan, and realize, wow, this is really what I want to do with my life. And came back, and then COVID happened, so also got sent home and really had to wrestle through waiting on God's timing because I just was itching to get back to Japan and I wanted to get back as soon as possible. But I realized I shouldn't just rush into that. I need to wait on God and His timing and when He wants me to go. And quite a few wise people when I was in Japan had told me Japan will always be here. It's good to have some ambition and some kind of like passion to get back and to keep that passion going, but you don't want to rush back and leave things undone that you should have taken care of back home. So, anyways, our dads at the time were working together, and I remember my dad had come to me and said, my coworker and I were talking, and he suggested you meet his son, and I was not about that at all.
It's kind of awkward.
Yeah, I thought, what? And my dad is not like that normally, so I was really caught off guard. But talked to some of my friends and my sisters and my brother, and they're like, why does this hurt anything? And I said, no, it doesn't. So we started texting. I was working nights at the time, just cleaning buildings in the area, just to pay off some of my student loans. And really glad I did that. That was something else I was encouraged to do before I went on the field, was to get rid of my debt, which I think is really wise if you can. Then you don't have something hanging over your head that you're worried about. So I started plugging away at that. We started talking, and then we met in person. And we were just instantly clicked and talked, and it felt like we had known each other forever pretty much right away. And basically we just didn't really stop talking, which was great.
See, I was under the impression that she gave permission to her dad to give her number to my dad because my dad said, hey, my coworker has a daughter about your age, and she also plays the clarinet, and she went to Moody Bible Institute, and it'd be great for you guys to maybe find a church, or you can visit her church or whatever. And so I was under the impression that she was on board with this whole thing, and so I just reached out.
Did you know, Tucker, at the time Anna was actually thinking, I'm going to leave this country and be in Japan?
Yes, that was pretty much one of the first things she told me. I was impressed by that because she, like, from those couple weeks, I knew that she wanted to go to Japan. She was like, I'm a missionary to Japan. I've been there. I'm going back. And if we are going to be any kind of serious, then we need to actually think about this and talk about this. And you need to think through, is this something I want to commit to? And so we very early on were saying, okay, we're going to make decisions as we got more and more serious. We're going to go on a trip, and just kind of waiting on borders to open, the timing to be right. We then got married. So we always kept an open door to do missions together, whatever that looked like. We talked about a short trip, possibly longer trip. Anna was explaining to me about OMF, what they do, how they do things, what the options were. And then that's how we ended up going again in 2023.
So going as a couple, a married couple, in 2023, what was that like? Where were you going in Japan? What was your ministry? What types of ministry were you guys going and seeing? And what was the end result of that for the two of you?
So we actually went back to the same area where I'd served in 2019. So we were in northern Japan, and we were working with a couple who had been there for quite a while, doing church planning alongside a Japanese pastor. So we were helping with the service, and they would have a meal after the one congregation met. They would eat a meal together every week. So we were there just trying to get to know people in the church, and then throughout the week we would teach English classes, which we both really enjoyed. The pastor had connections in a local kindergarten, so we'd go there and teach English. And then there was also English classes at the church as well. One of our highlights for sure was on Wednesday nights. The missionary couple had started a Bible study for young adults who were kind of discovering the Bible. And they would ask amazing questions, and that really was eye-opening, I think, for both of us. Like, wow, we really love this. We love helping people understand how to read the Bible, what the Bible's about, and what it means to be a Christian. And I think what we appreciated about that was their approach to it wasn't like, we're here to teach you everything, but we're here to show you how to learn on your own as you're reading the Bible on your own, and how to ask questions, and just kind of discover what it means and how it can change your life. And then there was a really neat opportunity. One of the adults coming to English class, she wanted to start a children's English class in her hair salon because she was a hairstylist. So we were really involved with that, and that was amazing to see like a new ministry begin. Some of these ministries were not able to continue because there just weren't enough missionaries available to continue them. And so I think we both felt like, wow, like this is a place where there is a need for more missionaries. This isn't just, I think when people think of Japan, they think, oh, it's modern, so they must have a vibrant church and, you know, all this access to different Christian resources. And they do have the Bible in their language. They don't have a ton of churches. There's not a vibrant church there. And a lot of people just don't have the opportunity at all to hear about God or learn how to read the Bible, or you're just starting from square one with all of them. So we just both realized what a need there is there. And here in the States, we feel, yes, there's opportunities here, but people here have access to so much more than what's available there. We were shocked to find out that so few people there even just have a Christian friend. So that really just lit a fire in both of us, and we realized, like, wow, we're very different as far as our giftings, and that's actually a really positive thing. Like I shared earlier, I love to like get out and share the gospel, and that's pretty natural for me, whereas Tucker loves like teaching and the more kind of discipleship side. And so I think that's what makes us such a good team. We're kind of strong in different areas, and so we can really bounce off each other and balance each other out and work well together to reach people for Christ.
It's really neat to hear that, because before you guys are saying you're just jumping in full steam ahead, long term, going there for years. You're saying we're going to take a short-term experience together and see how God might speak to us through that. And then through that, you're starting to learn things. I'm curious, Tucker, because this is Anna's second time in Japan. What's going on in your mind going all the way to Japan for the first time, knowing that this trip is going to probably set the direction of the two of you's future?
Yeah, that was definitely our prayer when we were preparing to go for the short-term trip for 6 months. We were praying, God, please show us if we're called together, if it is Japan, if it's doing ministry. We feel like you brought us together for a reason, and we just want to discern your steps in the midst of this. And I think Anna hinted to a lot of it, but I think just the experience that we had there really opened my eyes to what being in ministry, what missions XYZ could be, because it was all theory and cool chapel speakers that came in with cool stories. And I'm a person who I need to experience it to really learn and grasp what it means. That we landed and then super late, and then we had a little bit of sleep. And then the next morning we were going to the kindergartens. It was given to us as a choice, and I think Anna said something like, "We're all the way here. We might as well get all the experience we can." So the experience we had, I think, was definitely from God. I mean, we got a little bit of everything, highs, lows, in between. Like Anna said, it lit that fire, and God kind of confirmed, yes, I have called you both together to do this. I brought you together for this purpose, and this is where I'm going to lead you.
So as you begin to share that with your family and loved ones and church communities, what was your experience through that?
I think our church especially was very excited. We are a part of a smaller church, so at the moment, as far as we know, we're the only ones like planning on being long-term missionaries. There are quite a few people that have a heart for missions and family. That's been a journey for them because we are the first ones on both sides of the family to even be in ministry full time, let alone be going so far away. So there's still conversations to this day, even especially now that there's a grandchild involved, just about what that's gonna look like. And a lot of people ask, like, is it like, how is it worth it, or why is it worth it? And actually, when we first told them we were thinking about it while we were still in Japan, I was reading a lot of articles written by OMF missionaries, and a lot of them said it's worth it because you're obeying God, and it's also just worth it because this work is like eternal work, and you only get one opportunity in your life to decide like how you're going to spend your time on earth. And if you're spending it to invest in someone's eternity, that's the best investment you could ever make. And I thought, well, I can't really argue with that. So that's usually what I share when people ask, like, is it worth it, or why is it worth it?
Opening up the Word of God with people and watching them explore it and interact with it and just seeing God move through that is an experience that I'm still trying to figure out what that looks like here as we're preparing to go back, what it looks like to get involved in ministry. And yeah, there's nothing like it, and nothing's lit the fire in me like that. I mean, I love music. I'm fine with math, but like, just something about that is, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
And that's good. I love that you share that because this is one of the real struggles that if you're a couple, a married couple, you're looking to go overseas, you feel like this is God's calling in your life, and you have to share this with family and friends. And my wife and I went through this as well, and that was really hard. It was really hard because we were taking our 1-year-old overseas. We were saying this is the directions God called us. This is our future. And I do remember the struggle that everybody went through, but one of the most profound things that my mother had told me, and she wouldn't remember this, but we were planning all this and they're struggling through seeing us go and when would be the next time they'd see us, all that kind of stuff. She just made a real quick comment. She looked at me. She just said, "The Lord gives and the Lord takes away." And I've accepted that. Now, that was powerful. She was releasing us and commissioning us and blessing us on that journey, but also admitting, this isn't easy for her. But they came over many times. They visited many times. And if you were to speak to either side of the family today, they will tell you that was one of the greatest things, not only that we decided to do with our lives, but that they released us into doing and accepting because they learned and grew so much through that and got closer to God through that. Now that you guys have begun the journey, you came back and started to let everybody know that this was the area in which you were going to be pushing into and God was leading you into. Did you settle on who you were going to go with?
We were able to go to the Japan Field Conference during our 6 months, about halfway through, and that really helped us look at other long-term missionaries, just what LMF was about, how they care for people, how they as an organization react to things, respond to things, and we just felt like all of our questions were answered and the boxes were checked, and we just felt very comfortable going with them. So
I think we love that LMF is international first. We realized while we were there, one of our missionaries that we worked with a lot was not from the States. She grew up in a different Asian country, and just her wisdom and her approach was very different, but she was able to reach different people because of that. Working on a team with people from all over the world brings unique challenges, but I think the challenges are worth it and it helps you grow too as a person. And then we also love that OMF's interdenominational doctrine and the statement of faith really are the core of what we believe and what Christianity is all about. And then there's other things that are tertiary or maybe even just secondary issues that aren't as big of a deal. Of course, like the member care and the care for TCKs was very important to us. And we saw that OMF is really strong in that. And we really saw that played out, like Tucker mentioned at the field conference, but also just in day-to-day life. The missionaries we worked with, their kids were just right alongside them.
And now the two of you have gone through the screening process for long term, all the candidate course and all those types of things, and you've been appointed to go to Japan. Where are you at in that process?
Currently home with the baby, and then Tucker's still working. So now we're trying to get a little bit more involved, like in ministry here, and then I'm eventually starting to meet with people and really launching our partnership development.
We were kind of planning out our life. Kids was something that would happen in the future. We would be on the field or get like a first term done, and then that would be something. But in that pursuit, through that, we realized that the conversation of what growing our family looks like is a lot more complex than we thought it was originally. And so I think we're kind of in that stage where we're working through what does that mean, and we still feel called. We're still going to Japan. I think the biggest question mark is just when. And so I think we're trying to make the next right step.
This is what we know God's asking us to do, but what is God's timing? And I think rushing something or pushing yourself into something is not the way to go. You have to do things in God's timing. And I know a lot of people on the field shared with us, you don't want to have any regrets at home, and you also don't want to go until you have ample prayer support. Because finances will only get you so far, but prayer will keep you on the field and prayer will sustain you. And so, but we're just trying to discern God's timing and just be obedient with what's right in front of us and just taking steps towards getting to the field when He opens the door.
No, that's good. That's how you have to journey in this whole Christian life, is the complete dependency on the Holy Spirit to give you the wisdom and discernment you need to know when to press ahead, to know when to slow down, to know when to pause. There's a real beauty in understanding God has given us the incredible gift of the Holy Spirit to lead us in this life. And although we want to seek counsel from other people, ultimately we take all that before the Holy Spirit and ask, what is your leading in this? What is your timing? What is your direction? As the two of you sort of pause in this moment, look back on your lives, and you think about how God, His story has unfolded throughout your childhood, the early years in school, through high school, college, these trips to Japan, this movement of the Holy Spirit to kind of show you this is where things are next, even to the birth of your daughter. I'd love to kind of wrap things up and allow the two of you to have this last moment to share maybe some of the things, the lessons that you have learned.
If I was giving advice to my younger self, I think I would say, don't wait for the perfect timing. Don't put it off tomorrow what you can do today. And what I mean by that is, I think I spent a lot of my time in those early years, junior high, high school, even into college. I'll have more time to read my Bible, or I'll have more time to pray, or there's a spiritual discipline I think is important and I should do. And I would feel like, this is a prompting from the Spirit. Like, yes, this is good for you to do. This is something you should do and lean into. And I would more often than I like to admit, talk myself out of it. I would say, okay, I'll finish with this class that's heavy and I'll start this next semester, or I'll wait till after the summer because I don't know, I'll be more comfortable with being in college, or, it's a transition going into college, so I'll wait till I'm established. And I kept putting off these things. And I think just in your Christian life, I think, the Spirit prompts you in ways. And I think leaning into that is the biggest thing I would say. I had too many missed opportunities for good conversations with people, for good ways to grow in my faith and maturity, to lean in, just to have a good conversation with someone, ask how they're doing. I would have the thought and not act on it. Okay, this is an opportunity, take it. So all that to say, I think I've learned through all these years, just take the next step, be open to where God's leading.
It's easy to try to say, if I do all these things right, then I'll get this outcome. But really, God's in control, and He's not pacing around trying to figure your life out. He knows each day before it comes. He knows what's right in front of you, and the future, and years down the road, and it's all already ordained by Him. So you don't need to try to control everything. And I think just submitting and surrendering to Him and His plan, and as I just mentioned, His timing, that's just been, a lesson over the last couple years for sure, that I've had to learn the hard way quite a few times. But I've also realized, because He's in control, there's just so much joy and peace that comes when you submit to Him and surrender. And when we stepped foot in Japan in 2023, it was the perfect timing. It was not at all what I thought would happen or what I thought should happen, but it was exactly when God wanted us there.
Amen to that. God is in control. He is sovereign over it all. And when the opportunities that He leads you into arise, take those opportunities. Don't miss them. I love it. Anna, Tucker, it has been a true honor and privilege to be able to sit down with you for this moment and hear your story. Thank you so much for being on the show. I truly do believe God He has used you, and He's going to continue to use you to do great things for His kingdom. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the next chapters of your life unfold, and maybe coming back in a few years on the podcast and giving us a little update.
To learn more about OMF, visit us at omf.org/US.